The humble house show doesn't always get the love and appreciation it deserves. Also known as live events, these untelevised performances are a great chance to see your favourite wrestlers in their natural environment. With no TV cameras to play up to or storylines to worry about continuing, wrestlers are allowed to have a bit more fun, which can often have great results. Sometimes though, something massive will go down at one of these events, leaving the wrestling world wondering why such a momentous occurrence wasn't captured on film. I'm Adam Pacitti from Cultaholic Wrestling, and these are the 10 most famous house shows in WWE history. Join us. Number 10, Rockers Collide. In late 1991, that coward Marty Jannetty tried to escape his tag team partner Shawn Michaels by jumping out of a barbershop window. At least that's what my Uncle Bobby used to tell me. Seriously though, Michaels and Jannetty had been part of the Rockers, a very successful, very sexy tag team throughout the 80s and early 90s. Michaels turned heel on his friend, beginning a feud that was meant to culminate with the pair squaring off at WrestleMania 8. However, that plan was scrapped when Jannetty got arrested. Whoops. It wouldn't be until 1993 that the pair finally worked a proper program, with Marty actually beating Shawn for the Intercontinental Championship on an episode of Raw. A couple of weeks later, at a random house show in Albany, New York, HBK and Party Marty faced off for the belt again. Michaels would regain the title with a little help from a debuting performer by the name of Diesel. Wonder what happened to him. This would be the final major match between the ex-Rockers in their prime, as Jannetty would be gone from the company again in 1995. Oh Marty, what are you like? Number 9, the Iron Prequel. The first ever Iron Man match in WWE history took place at WrestleMania 12 and was between Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart for the WWE Championship. Right? Wrong, as always. The actual first ever WWE Iron Man match took place almost 7 years earlier than this, although it did feature one of the same participants. The Rockers teamed up to defeat the Fabulous Rougeaus at a 1989 live event in Montreal. They would repeat the concept 2 days later before the format went dormant for another 3.5 years. Bret Hart would wrestle in the first ever singles Iron Man match, but his dance partner was not the showstopper. At the January 9th, 1993 house show in Boston, Massachusetts, Bret Hart defended his WWE title in a 60-minute Iron Man match against the Nature Boy himself, Ric Flair. Hart had beaten Flair for the gold at another house show a few months earlier and was now putting it back on the line in what was known at the time as a marathon match. He was victorious by 3 falls to 2, with those in Boston likely unaware that they had just witnessed history. Number 8, where are all the wrestlers? Considering that they run approximately 8 billion live events a year, it is amazing that more doesn't go wrong when it comes to WWE's touring schedule. But when stuff does go wrong, it goes really wrong. Just 2 weeks out from WrestleMania 21, the SmackDown brand ran a house show in Hattiesburg, Mississippi, hometown of WWE legend Todd Grisham. Due to various travel issues, over 2/3 of the talent scheduled to appear on this night failed to show up. These included Rey Mysterio, a young Bobby Lashley, and even Funaki. How will we cope without SmackDown's #1 announcer? In the end, a backup plan was hastily cobbled together. A special one-night tournament was devised featuring a majority of the wrestlers who had made it to the venue. John Cena would win it after defeating Booker T before coming up short in his promised WWE title match against JBL. It might not have been what was advertised, but at least those in attendance got to see several big names wrestle multiple matches in one night. Also, the previous day's house show featured Heidenreich versus Charlie Haas. No disrespect to Charlie Haas, by the way, but maybe this was a blessing in disguise? Number 7, the Little Rock Riot. Christmas can be a stressful time. There's presents to buy, decorations to put up, and you've also got to figure out how you explain Cousin Harry's new friend to your homophobic grandma. Maybe these holiday headaches contributed to this wild turn of events at a WWE house show in late December 1997. Fans in Little Rock, Arkansas that night had been expecting an episode of Monday Night Raw, so got very annoyed when they found out it was an insignificant house show instead. The rowdy audience got more and more agitated with what they perceived to be a lackluster card. In the end, the proposed main event of Triple H versus Ken Shamrock got cancelled after Shawn Michaels stormed out and legitimately legitimately told the fans they didn't deserve it. Fans rioted like they were back in the territory days as the 6,000-strong cohort fought security guards, each other, and various inanimate parts of the arena. One report even said a guy's shirt was set on fire, but there had been a lot of alcohol consumed on the night, so take that with a pinch of salt. Number 6, Rollins' knee gives up. Seth Rollins was heading into Survivor Series 2015 in great shape. He was WWE Champion, had been for most of the year, and was set to face off against Roman Reigns in that night's main event. Unfortunately for the architect though, his ligaments had other ideas. On November 4th, 2015, Rollins was wrestling Kane at a live event in Dublin, Ireland. The luck of the Irish clearly didn't apply to the champ as he landed wrong on a sunset flip powerbomb and blew out several parts of his knee. Seth's ACL, MCL, and meniscus were completely shot, and the injury would keep him out of action for a presumed 6 to 9 months. One thing that also went kaput was his WWE title reign, as the belt was vacated shortly thereafter. Put simply, this threw everything into complete disarray, not just Survivor Series, but all the plans WWE had for the rest of the year and beyond. It was also an omen of things to come, as several other high-profile performers also went down with injuries in the lead-up to WrestleMania 32, which helped account for why that show was a steaming pile of dung. Number 5, Jericho versus Brazil. When traveling to a country outside of your own, it's important to take into consideration the laws and customs of your destination. For example, you should know that when entering the UK, not singing the national anthem while simultaneously making a pot of tea and reading a Paddington Bear book is punishable by death. Chris Jericho clearly didn't read up on the laws of Brazil when he travelled there for a WWE show in May of 2012. Y2J was facing off against CM Punk, who was wielding the Brazilian flag like a good little babyface. In order to get heat, Jericho snatched the flag, threw it on the ground, and stomped all over it. Not a bad tactic, eh? Except for the fact that desecrating the Brazilian flag is a big deal. Jericho was faced with arrest if he didn't apologize to the crowd right then and there. After the fact, WWE suspended him for performing the action without their consent. Considering that Y2J could have gone to jail for this, an earnest apology and a short suspension was probably the best outcome. Also, he was far from the first WWE wrestler to be insensitive in a foreign country. Number 4, JBLs Bad Decision. JBL's Bad Decision could refer to a lot of things, including the time he accidentally tweeted a screenshot of himself searching for adult entertainment, but we are talking about one very specific incident here. An incident that went down during a June 5th, 2004 house show in Munich, Germany. JBL was the heel in this match, obviously, and so tried to draw some heat from the crowd. Nothing wrong with that, except when your idea of drawing heat is popping several Nazi salutes and goose-stepping around the ring. Needless to say, this drew a lot of negative reaction, and not the kind JBL was after. All of this goes without mentioning the fact that Nazi iconography and actions are highly illegal in Germany, a country that has often struggled to reconcile with its past. In a shocking turn of events, WWE never actually punished JBL for this incident. In fact, they gave him the WWE Championship a few weeks later. Number 3, a new NXT Champion. Title changes don't happen that often at house shows, because why would you waste a big moment like that on a non-televised crowd? Sometimes though, WWE like to throw fans at live events a bone, including on this night in April 2016 in Lowell, Massachusetts. One of the matches that night was Finn Balor defending his NXT Championship against Samoa Joe. The two had been feuding for a few months now, and fans expected this to be just a throwaway match in keeping with their televised rivalry. Oh, how wrong they were! In a move nobody saw coming, Joe hit Balor with a muscle buster and pinned the Irishman to end his reign as king of NXT. And this wasn't just any old reign, this was the longest reign in the history of that belt up to that point. And they ended it at a house show. Unbelievable. In reality, this was actually a really smart move, as it made the already radical developmental brand seem even more cutting edge. No doubt it also shifted a bunch more tickets to future NXT events, as fans hoped they would see a repeat of what went down that night. Number 2, Diesel crushes Backlund. Arguably the most famous and insane championship change in WWE house show history went down at Madison Square Garden in November 1994. Bob Backlund, at that time the living embodiment of middle-agedness, had just beaten Bret Hart for the WWE Championship in a major upset at Survivor Series. Backlund, whose last world title win had come in 1978, was surely too old to be the company's top champion for very long. And this statement was proven true as he dropped the belt just 3 days later. Not only was his reign short, but so was the match in which it ended. Backlund faced off against Diesel at this untelevised event and lost in a staggering 8 seconds to crown Big Daddy Cool as the new champ. This accomplished several things. Not only did it get the belt off Backlund and onto Diesel, but it also made Big Kev look like a total monster, demolishing a respected legend in less time than it takes to tie your shoelaces. It also signaled to WWE's spiritual home that anything could still happen at the world's most famous arena. Number 1. The Curtain Call. In April 1996, Kevin Nash and Scott Hall signed lucrative contracts with WCW. Not only were WWE losing 2 of their top stars, but this also broke up one of the most powerful backstage entities in wrestling history. The Clique, which consisted primarily of Nash, Hall, Shawn Michaels, Sean Waltman, and Triple H, were all real-life chums who used their considerable influence to essentially run WWE for themselves. The group's final night together was the May 19th, 1996 house show at MSG, where Kevin, Scott, Shawn, and Trips all celebrated in the ring together after the main event, even though they were all meant to be feuding with each other. This would have been just about fine had a fan not caught it all on camera. This shattering of kayfabe at a time where it was still enforced was a huge no-no. All 4 men involved would be severely punished, well, except for Nash and Hall, who were leaving for WCW, and Shawn Michaels, who was WWE Champion. Damn, Hunter, bad luck there.